What's up, football world? I am Bucky Brooks, and this is the Bucky Brooks Show. And today we're talking all things in the National Football League world. And I want to apologize at the beginning. I've been coaching high school ball, so my voice is a little scratchy because we had a heated contest today, and so I'm a little out. I'm a little talked out. But I wanted to jump on, and I wanted to have a conversation about some of the things that are going on, particularly James Cook finally signing his deal after a hold-in. James Cook, two-time Pro Bowl running back, guy coming off a career year, had 16 rushing touchdowns a year ago, had 18 total touchdowns, which double the number of touchdowns he had in the previous two seasons. He finally gets his deal. 4-year, $48 million, $12 million annually, $30 million guaranteed, and he's certainly worthy of being in that range, in that level. When you think about James Cook and what he means to this offense, he is an offensive weapon. He's more than just a running back. He's someone that can line up in the backfield. He can play in the slot. He's effective in the screen game. He is a do-it-all playmaker. And last year was interesting. The Buffalo Bills are trying to do, I would say, get them fewer carries, fewer opportunities, but get more bang for their buck. Meaning last year he only played on 47.5% of their offensive snaps, but he delivered in a big way. And general manager Brandon Beane says he envisions James Cook being used similarly going forward because the Buffalo Bills, remember, they were the number one scoring offense last year with Josh Allen winning MVP. But because they feel like they have so many weapons, it is better if they have a share the wealth mentality and approach rather than really load up and feed one player, namely James Cook, over and over and over. When you go back and watch him in college, this is kind of the things that he teased when he was coming out. He was terrific with the ball in his hands. He had great vision, great balance, great body control, had some big play potential, but also had the mentality to be a bit of a grinder, a workhorse. What I love about this is the Bills and Cook were able to get this done. He and the Bills operated in good faith. He showed up to camp. He did stage a hold in, but he continued to go to meetings. He continued to participate and practice in those things. And at a time when the league is really big on communication and trust, his communication, his cooperation led the Bills to trust that he's going to be the player that they think he can be when they gave him the deal. Now that he's secure and he's locked in for the next 4 to 5 years, let's talk about what James Cook can mean on the major scale. This is someone who not only has the potential to be a Pro Bowl player, but he has all pro type capabilities if he's given enough chances to touch the rock. And I'll say this because we talked earlier, Brandon Beane said they want to kind of reduce and expand his role where they limit the times that he's on the field, but they give him different responsibilities. When we think about an all-pro player, we think about someone who can dictate the terms to the defense. The defense has to adapt and adjust to him and his whereabouts. More importantly, they have to prepare and try and find a way to negate his performance and production. The Buffalo Bills have seemingly been a one-man show with everyone really focusing on Josh Allen and the wonderful things that he does as a one-time MVP. But really, this is a by committee situation where they get big plays by committee. The only person that is the centerpiece of it is Josh Allen. What I would like to see now that James Cook has gotten his money, I want to see an uptick in the explosive plays from a variety of spots. More explosive plays in the passing game, maybe more dynamic runs, more of the bell cow stuff in limited action to really solidify himself as a top player at the position, but more so a top 5 runner in this league. I think he gets a lot of love and a lot of respect. I don't know how many people view him in that special category when we talk about Saquon Barkley, a Derrick Henry, and some of those others. So 2025 is about establishing himself as one of those guys in the VIP circle. And I know normally Pro Bowl consideration would be VIP, but to be that VIP at running back, you have to be an all-pro. That means really taking it up a notch and being a guy that gives you full-time stats and production on a part-time basis. Hard to do, but now that he has the money, I think the Buffalo Bills and James Cook can find a way to get it done. Second news item that came up today, Shedeur Sanders left practice with an oblique injury. We don't have a lot in terms of what happened and how it happened, but we saw that he was forced to leave practice and sat out. And it comes at a very interesting time for Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns and their quarterback situation. The Cleveland Browns have 4 quarterbacks vying for the QB1 spot: Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. Joe Flacco is the oldest of the bunch, and he's the healthiest of the bunch, but you don't want to put him in preseason games. He's the presumptive starter. He is the guy that everyone anticipates starting the season, given his experience, given his production running this offense a few years ago. All of those things play in his favor. So let's move him to the side. Now it becomes a 3-man race to maybe be QB2 with an eye on QB1 somewhere in the season, in the middle of the season. Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. The issue that we have with all of these guys, they all are potentially missing time due to injury. Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel have been dealing with hamstring injuries. Shedeur Sanders now has this oblique injury. Sanders is the only one of the 3 that has played, and last week he put on a show. In fact, he was so impressive that many of us, the media world, started speculating, hey, is there a run to the number 1 spot for Sanders? Is the door open? Is it cracked for him maybe to bust his way through with a few stellar performances the next 2 games to convince the Browns coaching staff and their team that he is the best man for the job? We're now with an oblique injury, and we still don't know how it's going to impact who's up, if he can play or not. Dillon Gabriel, Kenny Pickett may have an opportunity to halt some of that momentum. Dillon Gabriel has been at practice. He's been throwing the ball around. He was the 3rd-round pick. Naturally, you would expect him to get first bite of the apple over Sanders. But because he hasn't been available and because he allowed Sanders to participate in the game and have a great game, a lot of pressure on Dillon Gabriel to perform against the defending world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Even though we don't expect many of their guys to go, the joint practices that are taking place throughout the week and the preseason game will give the coaching staff an opportunity to assess where's Dillon Gabriel at in the process. Moreover, how ready is he to be a primetime player? And then when you take those things from practice and you compare and contrast them to how he performs in the game, we will know a lot more about the quarterback situation in Dillon Gabriel on Monday, more so than heading into it. For Kenny Pickett, this is unfortunate. Kenny Pickett is traded for, they bring him over, and the hamstring has just kind of kept him out of practice. And as we are now seeing, man, the 2nd preseason game is on the horizon. The 3rd one is a little over a week away. Not a lot of time for Kenny Pickett to make a move on Joe Flacco, unless Joe Flacco just completely falls apart at practice. And because of the numbers and the situation, Kenny Pickett now has to fend off 2 rookies that are gunning for his job. Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, collectively, they're cheaper than maybe what Kenny Pickett would do. They also represent an opportunity for the Browns to get young and cheap at quarterback, which opens up the coffers to upgrade the rest of the team. That is a dream scenario, to have a starting quarterback on a rookie deal so you can build up the rest of the team. That said, Kenny Pickett is going to get a chance, and he's going to get a chance because as a former first-round quarterback, there's certainly enough talent to be a guy that can get on the field and make things happen. We saw him last year for the defending world champions get on the field and make a couple plays and help keep the train rolling for a team that won the Super Bowl. In Cleveland, it's a heavier lift. It's a rebuild rather than a retool, but the expectations are still the same. The Browns, and I know we have talked bad about them the entire offseason as if they're terrible, they don't have talent. They have enough talent to win games, but a lot of it comes down to how does the quarterback manage the game? Does he set the offense and defense up for success, or is he a turnover machine that makes it very, very hard to overcome? It's a tough job for Kevin Stefanski and his staff to figure this out, but the injuries are going to make it where it could be survival of the fittest. We're still waiting to see if Shedeur Sanders has the oblique injury that it can overcome. But at the end of the day, if it's a game of survival of the fittest, Shedeur Sanders could be gifted the job. First QB2, then QB1. because he hangs in a little longer than everybody else. Interesting to see this play out. 3, let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers and what is going on in the Steel City. Last week, I had an opportunity before the Jacksonville Jaguars kicked it off against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the preseason debut for both teams. Had a chance to kick with Mike Tomlin, some of the coaches, kind of get a lay of the land in terms of what is going on in Pittsburgh. I got to tell you, they didn't say this directly. They weren't overt with it. But, man, there's a feel in Pittsburgh that they think they're going to be much better than the outside world gives them or the outside world respects. And part of that, I would say, is just doing an observation, walk around in warm-ups, the swag that they have, being able to see Aaron Rodgers execute a workout in pregame. There's a lot of positivity, a lot of, I would say, competitive arrogance that exists in Pittsburgh. Let's break it down a little further. So before the game, Aaron Rodgers comes out, has probably about a 30 to 45-minute workout. Him and some of the wide receivers. It is reminiscent of what we call a pro day workout. Start on one end, make some passes, jog down to the other end, then bring it back and forth or whatever. So he did that for like 30 minutes. I'm going to tell you, from the field, zip, velocity, arm strength still looks the same, particularly on the intermediate routes or whatever. He can hum it. He can fit in tight windows. He can do all that stuff. The chemistry and the connectivity with DK Metcalf, you could already see that building. You can see Aaron Rodgers making suggestions, making corrections, DK Metcalf immediately putting it into his game, and their connection and their synergy is exactly what you want. When you have Pat Freiermuth out there also catching passes, you can see Aaron Rodgers trying to develop that connectivity with two of his primary weapons in the passing game so he can effectively complement what could be a dominant run game. You think about what the Steelers have, not only on the line of scrimmage, the number of number ones that they've invested, but Caleb Johnson in the backfield, you have Gainwell in the backfield, and some other guys vying for position. This still is a dangerous Pittsburgh team because they are one of the few teams that's committed to the running game. And as this offensive line gels and grows together, man, they recreate the magic, the formula that has successfully helped them kind of dominate over the league for 3 decades. And when I think about that formula, we talk about it. We talk about strong run game, exceptional defense, and magical quarterback play. But the running game is going to be enhanced by Caleb Johnson coming over from Iowa. We talk about the offensive line, the young guys growing up and being problems because they invested first-round picks in each of the last 2 drafts to get those guys ready to go. And then we just talk about the magic that can happen from Aaron Rodgers to complement what you want to do in the run game. You have to like where the Pittsburgh Steelers are at on offense. Defensively, it's about having those goons, that goon squad that can get after it. And when I mean goons, that physical, nasty, intimidating front that creates problems. TJ Watt being there. I know Cam Hayward is going through his thing, trying to get some new money and that stuff. But, man, there's some young guys, Highsmith and some others throughout that are ready to make their contributions. Then I think about Patrick Queen being able to finally settle in after a year to be able to really run this defense the way that it should be run from a player-friendly, player-centric process. If they're able to get that done with Patrick Queen playing a key part of it, man, that is great. But here's why I'm really excited about the Steelers and their defense. When the Steelers made the move to get Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay, it was with intention. It was with the intention of making sure that their young players grew quicker and became immediate contributors quickly. That is why you have these guys, Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay, act as big brothers to Joey Porter Jr. Why would you want Jalen Ramsey, who some have said is a malcontent, to be that guy? Why would you want Darius Slay, who's on the last leg of his career? Why would he be there to help Joey Porter Jr. make it happen? Well, the reason why you have these guys is because you want Joey Porter Jr. to look at the standard and the standard every day. You want him to see how these guys diligently work and prepare so he can start to add some of those things in his game. You want Joey Porter Jr. to watch these 2 guys go at it on game night so he can see the level of intensity, technique, tenacity that you have to be a dog in this league. That's why they love it. Now, when it comes to the communication and the big bro effect that these guys, Slay and Ramsey, will have on Joey Porter Jr., you love that. But I'm saying it goes beyond just being the mentor. It also has to do with being the player. And in talking about the player, I'm going to talk about Jalen Ramsey first because, man, Mike Tomlin said that this dude has been unbelievable when it comes to the communication and to digest the ability to comprehend the playbook, to make it happen, and to get it from multiple spots. They said he has been able to go from outside to slot to safety and do it without issue. And I'll tell you this, in watching him, like, he does have a little bit of football savant to his game in terms of how he knows to play the game and what he wants to do. It gets lost in some of the villain act that he's kind of embraced since entering the league. But this dude is A+ when it comes to ball and study habits and getting after it. Got to correct some of the edginess and make sure that it is channeled the right way. But, man, he is a all-day ball player and one of the ones that you're excited to see. And based on my conversation, the Steelers are really excited to see him. Now, what does that mean overall? Well, everyone talks about it. It's the most overblown stat. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record. I don't think it happens this year. In fact, I would say that based on the FanDuel odds, you got to remember, we're sponsored by FanDuel. I want to put these odds up. The Steelers are plus 4,000 to go and win the Super Bowl. They're plus 2,000 when it comes to the AFC Championship game. I'm going to say this. I don't like all of those odds, but I would say I like the odds of the Pittsburgh Steelers reaching the AFC Championship game. And the reason I like this is because I talked about the formula and the blueprint for the Steelers and how it's stood the test of time. The Steelers are championship caliber teams when they have a dominant defense, they have a physical and effective running game, and then they have a quarterback that can make magic, make rabbits appear out of the magic hat. That's what they have. And they've always had that when they had Big Ben. They have it again in older Aaron Rodgers. They have someone who lives on the edges but can work his way out of it. The Steelers are an interesting team because in that division, man, there are no easy wins. When you talk about the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, you have to earn it if you're going to be the last team standing in that division. What I like about the Steelers when it comes to that division is they are a mirror to the Baltimore Ravens in terms of the physicality and toughness. It's like looking at a team that is built to play just like yours. They are that. They also are a team that can dictate the terms versus anybody, whether it's Kansas City, Buffalo, whatever. They can make the game be played on their terms, which makes them such a dangerous team. And the final thing, there's a love-hate affair that people have with Mike Tomlin, but I would say, man, one of the best coaches in ball. You don't win as many seasons as he's been able to win without having it together. Final thing about the Steelers when it comes to winning. Some of the edge that they wanted to bring back to the locker room has to do with the winning pedigree. It's one thing for Mike Tomlin to be a Super Bowl winning head coach. It's another thing for the team to look at some of their peers as Super Bowl winners. And when you have some of those guys like an Aaron Rodgers, like a Jalen Ramsey, who've been in those wars and know what it looks like from inside out, you want those guys sharing the message with the masses. And you also want some of these other winners to come in because there's an expectation that comes with winning. And if you have a bunch of winners at the table, they can figure out what's needed to get it done. But they also can figure out how people can sacrifice a little bit to get a lot in the end. That is what we're hoping happens to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Final thing, man, had a chance to really dig into the tape with Jaxson Dart. And I'm going to say this, and look, it may not happen at the beginning of the season, but by the middle of the season, Jaxson Dart should be the Giants' QB1. And I know we're not to overreact to the first game of the preseason and all that, and I'm not. It was a solid preseason debut. He had a couple touchdowns, moved the ball around, looked good, was very efficient making plays, made some plays on the ground as a dual threat. He did all those things that were very, very impressive. But I'm going to say maybe the most impressive thing that I saw from him is the way that he walked in with the confidence and the swagger, like, I got this. And in fact, I wrote in my notes when I was reviewing the tape, Josh Allen Jr., because this dude reminds me, carries himself, has ownership qualities of that guy we talk about in Josh Allen. You know, the MVP who won it in Buffalo and continues to dazzle, the one who, under the tutelage of Brian Daboll, helped stabilize the Buffalo Bills as a perennial playoff contender and more. Well, now Brian Daboll is in New York, and he has Junior, Josh Allen Jr. to work with in Jaxson Dart. And the reason why this is really important is because we have seen what Brian Daboll is able to do when he has a young quarterback who's a dual threat, who is smart and tough enough to make it happen. Well, when I'm looking at this quarterback who's a 3-year starter at Ole Miss, really good athlete, great arm talent, strength, velocity, can throw with touch, has all those things. To me, this is an easy win for Daboll, because in dusting off that old playbook for Josh Allen, what he's also going to do is open up some run lanes, which is going to help the rest of the running attack. But he also is going to embrace the quick screens, the high percentage stuff that allows you to stay on schedule. And if Jaxson Dart is able to build upon some of the little flashes that he displayed, I think the people that are over at FanDuel are going to be mad, because over at FanDuel Sportsbook, my man Jaxson Dart is sitting here with a plus 270 to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. I'm telling you, if this dude gets on the field, and I anticipate he's going to get on the field much sooner than many envision, if he puts together 2 strong performances at the end of camp, if the Giants stumble coming out the gate, Jaxson Dart is going to be in there. I'm just saying, that's what it is. And if he's in there with Malik Neighbors and some of the other weapons, he is going to have a legitimate case towards winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Look, plus 2,700 is a lot, but I'm saying if I'm going to throw a flyer, if I got a little loose change, I'm going to throw a flyer out there. I am saying Jaxson Dart is the one to watch, because Jaxson Dart should be a QB1. Now, I know some of the people are going to push back when I say Jaxson Dart should be QB1 because, look, he's inexperienced, he's young, he has to adapt, adjust, and all that. And in a perfect world, I would agree with you. But we're in an imperfect world, and some of these things have to be dealt with right away. And in dealing with Russell Wilson and Jaxson Dart, a lot of it is based on the way the team is trending. If the team is trending up and they are having success with Russell Wilson just managing the game and the defense crushing it, and then they find a way to get to the middle, cool. But if it's not that kind of situation where you don't know if Russell can hold up his end of the deal, if you're not able to use the Daniel Jones game plan that helped this team go to the playoffs in Brian Daboll's first season, where he basically neutered the quarterback, put him in a situation where he can't fail, and found ways to win because of their defense and special teams, might be more like that. So what I'm saying is, as I'm looking at the team and I'm looking at the roster, I'm Brian Daboll, and I'm assessing what I have. Offensive line has some shakes, some uncertainty. Playmaker, I told you, Malik Neighbors, number 1 all day. You can get double team that opens lanes for everybody else. And then a dominant defense, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau. Let me mention, Abdul Carter is the real deal. The fact that they got him at 3 is bananas. He is terrific. First step quickness, get off, finish, violence, all of those. Check, 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 check. He nails it. And for a Giants team that flipped the script and went with the defensive player, the frontline warrior, the trench guy over the skill, lets you know everything that you need to know about them. But it also, going to the later part of the round, trading up to get your guy, lets you know everything about how the Giants feel about Jaxson Dart. And if you're a Giants fan, you should be excited about what he displayed in the opener, but also a little concerned, can he carry it on? If he kills it in week 2, man, that's your guy. You got to figure out how long will you play with Russ before you drop Jaxson Dart in the mix. But doesn't matter. He's a good player. He's going to be a great player. And it appears the Giants are on the right track when it comes to the QB situation. So there you have it. Quick little pod. Wanted to react in the middle of the week. Some of the things that were going on. Talked about James Cook getting his bread. Hats off to him. The Cleveland Browns trying to figure out what to do at quarterback. Shedeur Sanders, his oblique injury throws a monkey wrench in their plans. Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron got all the things why the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be right and why they should be your surprise contender to make it to the AFC Championship game. And then the final thing, Jaxson Dart needs to be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. I know they're going to say wait half the year, but I'm telling you right now, based off of what we saw, Jaxson Dart, a.k.a. Josh Allen Jr., needs to be in the game because the synergy and the connection between him and Brian Daboll could pay off big time for the New York Giants. What else is going to pay off big time? You guys coming back, you guys rating, reviewing, and subscribing to the podcast. Making sure you check out all the cool things that I'm doing and that we're doing at the Believe Network. Give me a like. Make sure you let us know what you feel about it. Drop some notes in the comments, and we'll try and make sure that we answer some of those questions and provide the best podcast that we can provide. Until next time, I'm Bucky Brooks, and I'm out.